All right, the Explorer job is acquired generally through contacts, and you can promote officers, of course, but you can actually start as an Explorer as well. And if you do so, you'll get a couple captain-specific profession talents, or traits. One called Overkeen, where you'll double the chance of drawing Xeno artifact cards while exploring. That's very, very nice for making a profit in the black market, or to the Temple of Refuge, for instance. Um, Exploring missions start with 10% chance to draw a mission card. Now, this is really strong because it means that if you're exploring in the wilds, the normal base chance of immediately drawing the card you want is 20%. It goes up 2% each time. Well, this mechanic means that it starts at 30% instead and goes up 2% each time. So your odds of just finishing the mission right away are faster, meaning you're going to be getting to your experience, your reward faster, but also it reduces the risk of everything else that could happen. Quite strong. In addition, they get Voyager, which will give them 2 bonus wisdom, 1 resilience, good all around attributes. But most importantly, it reduces the travel time and fuel consumption by 10%. So this is a great way to do a mission running captain, but also just general. Any captain would benefit pretty strongly by a little less travel time and less fuel consumption. This is quite good. Lordison is pointing out that you don't need to go to the Temple of Refuge for your sale of Xeno artifacts. There are 3 trade level 2 or lower zones on the default map. The Temple of Refuge is the one that I have memorized on the Farfallen Rim, and it buys artifacts at a good price. There's another one elsewhere that I encountered today that buys them at an F price, which isn't great. Anyway, I'm sure Lordison is right. Let's continue on. All right, so the skills are going to get our Explore primarily, which makes sense. They get some electronics and some tactics, but those are not really the focus of this crew job. We'll go into the talents. Gut Instinct will pass an failed Explore test. This is pretty helpful. Some exploration failures can do quite a lot of damage to your ship or your crew, and being able to avoid that through the skill save can be very helpful. If you're doing a lot of exploring, you're eventually going to want 1 or 2 of these. Vigilant Search. This is stronger than it looks. Reroll a Wild Zone. There are a lot of storyline missions early on that can have a hand that has a Xeno in it. And that's really obnoxious because you really don't want to risk that and lose your combat crew. Vigilant Search means you get to reroll that one and probably don't encounter the Xeno in that hand. This can really unblock the progress of some storyline arcs safely. Plentiful rewards. This gives you some rewards of various kinds. Get increased by 10% plus Explore skill. This is good if you're already doing well in the Explore card game. Up your rewards. Far Voyager is an interesting one. It's useful if you don't already have a bunch of jump fuel cost reduction talents. I generally have those already through other jobs, so I don't get this one with the Explorer. But if you didn't have them, this could be handy. Generally, I like to have 2 of these talents. This is a little, I think this is a little weaker than the others, but not by much. It reduced the fuel cost by 2 plus the Explore skill. So, I mean, if we're talking rank 17, for instance, 14 fuel off of the jump, that's pretty good. Saves you some money, potentially saves you a little bit of time refueling. Still, probably not the strongest of these talents. The Explorer really doesn't come into its own until later. All right, rank 5, this is a way, Unseen Traces is a way to get a contact anytime you land in a wild zone. So this mirrors the E-Tex talent where they land in any civilized zone and they're able to have a chance at getting a contact. Same thing, but in Explore areas. If you're spending a lot of, in wild areas, if you're spending a lot of time exploring anyway, pick this talent up. Getting you contacts is always good. It's strong at any stage of the game. Reduced Exposure, this removes a wild card. Removes a risk card from a wild zone, similar to Vigilant Search, pretty obvious in its application. Artifact Profiteer, this is where you start to make a lot of money as an explorer. If you're selling Xeno artifacts, you can increase the profit of the deal by 25% plus your Explorer skill. I believe the way this works is that the game works with profit as if the sale is profitable, which if you're finding Xeno artifacts, it always will be, you can't buy them. If it's profitable, then increase the entire revenue by 25% plus Explorer skill. Now, for Xeno artifacts, that's just the raw price anyway, but merchant talents, it matters more. So if you're grabbing these near rank 5 Explorer, 30% on your Xeno artifacts profit, that can be pretty substantial. This is a great way to get money as an explorer. Makeshift repairs. This one has a long cooldown, much like Unseen Traces. This is a way to get some ship damage equal to the richness rating of a wild zone, but only 2 ship components and up to your explorer skill. So this is a way to get some small repairs here and there, but it's no match for an engineer in my opinion. All right, going on here, Dredge Artifacts. This is an excellent talent if you have the guts and the capacity to defeat Xeno ships in battle. If you defeat a Xeno ship, you can then destroy them and gather up a whole bunch of artifacts instead of just salvaging it directly. And if you have a lot of explore skill, especially if you have it boosted, like you have the captain where you've added 10 to it at the beginning, you're level, you have a rank 20, that's 24 artifacts you could gather. That can be pretty good. This is strong, but I personally tend to salvage these Xeno ships, get the money and reputation bonus that way, and then they generally have enough Xeno artifacts that I can get my cargo holds full anyway. But there are some builds where you'll have enough cargo space and you have a good trade route to Xeno artifacts. You have Artifact Profiteer, where the artifacts are worth more than the raw money, and this can make sense. All right, Face the Terror. This is valuable if you are fighting Xeno ships, or just in general if you're encountering them from time to time. Prevent morale loss on up to explorer skill number of crew. Again, when you fight Xeno ships, you will lose morale across your crew, but this will mitigate or can completely prevent that from happening as you are able to explain the terror and face it head on. All right, Legacy Seeker. This is pretty strong because exploring wild zone rewards can be very, very generous. So being able to swap a wild zone card with a reward of some kind is pretty sweet. Moving on, Digging Deeper. This is a lot like Plentiful Rewards, but it only applies to your resources and artifacts. It gives 30 plus Explorer skill rewards. Having both of these can be handy if you're doing lots of exploring. If you're doing it rarely, probably just get Digging Deeper because they'll both compete for the same spot. And you want one that has a plus 20% on top of it. But if you're doing a lot of exploring, probably having both will make sense because you'll do more exploring before 6 weeks are up. All right, Tag of the Beast. This is a pretty strong but very situational ship combat talent. It only applies to Xeno, and you have to hit them with a ship weapon. If you do, at the end of the turn, meaning the start of the next turn, they'll have 20% reduced accuracy, reduced shield, significantly reduced range change for quite a while. This is strong. It has an awkwardly long cooldown for ship combat talent. It used to be 18 weeks. That was recently changed. And also, this only applies to these 3 positions. This is very, very situational. A few players swear by it, but for the most part, I find other ways to defeat Xeno ships. Driven Prospector. Now, this will let you get to those mission success reward cards faster. Combined with the Overkeen trait, this can quickly end your searches through wild zones. So this can be very, very strong. Rarest Find is a way to get a lot of money. While you're exploring, you replace a risk card with a rare trade goods reward cards, however. Based on the danger rating of the zone you're in, there's a chance to draw rare trade goods that are guarded by pirates instead. So you get rare trade goods either way. In fact, you get the rare trade goods even if you lose to the pirates, but you risk your combat crew in that place. Pirates aren't too deadly, so it's a good fight to take. They're harder than scavengers or salvagers, whatever they say. And they're far weaker than faction defense forces and far weaker than Xeno, but they'll be more varied than you'll encounter by boarding ships in general. So they can be a challenge, but generally this is well worth it. You can get a lot of money off these rare trade goods. You don't even have to butter up a contact to get them. Unstoppable Hunt has quite the cooldown, but in case you're given a really awful Wild Zone hand, you've got several bad cards you don't want to deal with. If you just had one, you'd replace it or you'd re-roll it, but you have several of them, maybe all 5 are terrible. Well, this just lets you get a new hand. You got 21 weeks later, now you get the new hand by clicking this talent, then you could replace one of the ones that you see next. That isn't fully explained on the card, but it is a nice perk. Lord of Sin is pointing out that for Explorer Captains, generally more than 80% of your trades are from exploration. And because you're generating so much profit, you can afford to lose more goods to pirates without too much of a hassle. Um, and due to the goods being gained without purchase, their revenue is equal to their profit. Um, their margins are exceptional, so they can afford to surrender to pirates in bad spots from time to time.